Hello and welcome back to the channel. What I got. So what I got today is a kind of video walkthrough of some source code and blog posts. So here's the blog post already. Blog post is listed on Dev2. I will add the link in the bio. Let me zoom this in a bit for y'all. So this is kind of what we're going to walk through. So I've been doing some work with Supabase.io, and I follow up on their monthly videos when they do a release. And I noticed that they have this Quickstart here for React, which walks you through creating this nice little app that shows you how to basically do some authentication, upload images to storage, and write to the database. They kind of outline all the things that it does here. And one of the other things I noticed, if you see over here, they have Next, they have React. And so I was like, hey, I've done a lot of work with Vue. Let me try to basically copy the application's functionality and structure as best I can, but port it over to Vue. And so that is what I've done in this video. That's what I've done with this project over here. I have followed the steps here in this blog post, which basically mimics the content that they have on their website. I literally cut and pasted the pieces here so that the outline is the exact same, and all that I've changed are the commands. So here where they're doing React commands, I've done Vue commands. Here where they're writing components in React, I wrote the components in Vue. See, they're using Vue state and stuff. I'm using references. I am using Vue 3. I am using the composition API structure. So that's with the setup and refs. And so that's kind of what I'm going to quickly walk through the code. This is the application running. Let's sign out and bring a new user in. So let me sign out. I can enter my other email address. Let's make it Gmail. And it can send a magic link. So I can check my Gmail, which I'll do offline here so you don't have to see all my email. And I get my link, confirm my email, and here we are with my email. I got a little bug. I'm not certain why it's not showing the no image here. So I can update this information. And my website, www. And let's click update. And it looks like it has updated my content. That's the basic content here. And then I can select upload and I can select an image. Let's try, what do we got here? This one, open. So it's uploaded and it's added that image. And now let me sign out. Let's reload. Then let me enter my email address again, send my magic link. Let's get my new magic link email. And here I have logged in again in another window, because when you click the magic link, it kind of opens up a new window. So that's why I have to keep dragging in from the other side. So that is basically what the application does. So let's close this window. I'm not going to kind of walk through how to set up Supabase and everything, because all the steps are here and it's covered in Supabase documentation, so there's no need for me to repeat it. We're just going to focus on more now is really just the code. So let's kind of close this, and I'm going to follow along with the approach that we have here in the blog post. So we start at the top. This is the intro copied directly from the website. Setting up the database schema. This is the schema I took that they provide for you, which will set up your tables, your profiles, all the access to them and everything, and an intro to buckets. Access to API keys. It's documentation that explains all that. So this is really kind of the new stuff right here. So I'm using Vue CLI to create my new application. My application is called User Management. I then installed Supabase libraries. I just found a bug in my documentation. I need to change these. This should be, this should say Vue. So a good thing I'm going through this. I will update this in the final. So if you look, I can't show you my code, but if you look in what I'm doing in my Supabase client, you see that we're using this Vue app Supabase URL. So these need to be modified, and I will update that in the doc. We have this file called envlocal where I set these. You get these URL values from your Supabase project. Then you have your Supabase client, which is here. Like I said, I literally copied the Supabase client code from here. I updated it to support the new URLs that you have for Vue, and I've created my Supabase client. The next thing is this, their documentation, they called it a login component. I renamed it to an auth component. So here in the auth component, that is basically this, the login field that you see. The login form that you see when you start up. What we've done is you keep track of the loading flag with this ref. We keep track of the email address with this ref. We render the input field. So right here, we're rendering the input field, keeping track of it using vModel. And then on click, we are calling our handle login method. And in our handle login method, we're setting our loading to true to change the UI. And then we just call the Supabase function, Supabase auth sign in with just an email. And this will kind of trigger the magic link to be sent to my email address. And that's really all the auth component is doing. Just so the order they do it here is kind of weird, so I'm going to pop around and do it a little bit differently. When the app starts up, so you start up, well, we'll go all the way back to the beginning. The original startup is kind of your main JS. There's nothing new here. It's just create app, and then it's mounting the app component. So let's close main.js. We've already went through what we're doing in the client, so we can close that. And so now we're in the app view. And so what the app is doing at startup, on mounted, we're asking Supabase, does it already have a session? And then we're setting a listener for when we get a session. When we get a session, we're setting the value of my ref to the session, right? So then what happens is, if you look at the UI, when it starts up, it basically says, if I have a session, then show the account component. If not, show the auth component. And so when it shows the auth component, it provides the opportunity for you to provide an email address, click the button, and get sent a link. When the link's sent, you come back in the app should now have a session, so session is true. And so since session is true, we now will call our account component. So we'll go into our account view. And what does our account view do? Our account view has the title. This is an avatar component that we've created that does two things. It renders the image, but then it also notices if you make a change to the image, and it emits an onUpload event, and the onUpload event calls our function which handles the image upload. It has a place for you to change the email address. Actually, no, you cannot change the email address. It's disabled. But we get the user from the session, and then we display the email address. You can change the username, and you can change the website. And then on the submit button, we will update the profile. And so let's go look at the functions. And then the last one is the sign out, which is called Supabase function to sign out. So down inside our component, let's look at the functions that we have. We have the handle image upload. I'll touch on that when we talk about the avatar component. But the update profile is the important one. Let's remove this debugger here. What this really does here is we get the user from Supabase. We create this new object with everything that we want to update. And so remember, you have to use value because we're using references. So we get the username, the website, the avatar URL, and we've passed an updated date. And then we just call the update profiles component. It does the upsert, and it will push the data into the database for us. It's pretty straightforward. The one thing that's different is on the handled image upload, we get a path for the URL, which comes from saving the image to storage. And we'll cover that in the avatar URL, but we basically save that path with the user. And that's laid out here. If you look at the schema, you can see the schema for the profile has the username and it has the avatar URL. That URL comes from the storage. And so we're going to touch on that on the final component, which is the avatar component. And so the avatar component, let's kind of see what that does here. The avatar component, let's start with the template. Because what it does is it renders the image based on the URL that's provided. And then underneath it, it has this, it has a file input so that when the button's clicked, the file input is triggered. When it's changed, we call our function upload avatar, which is what we want to upload the image. And so if you come down into our source code here, you'll see our upload avatar function. We get the file from the target, and then we pull out all the stuff, the file extension, the file name, the file path. And then with Supabase Storage, we are going to upload the image to the bucket called avatars. We're providing the path, and then we're providing the actual file object so that it can be uploaded. And then the last thing we do is we use our context that we have here in Vue, and we emit an on upload, and we pass it the path. This is the path that's going to be stored here in this avatar URL. So when the emit on upload is triggered, we come back to our account, and you can see here, up back here, where is it? We have our on upload handler, and that's called handle image upload. And if we go to this function, you will see here in handle image upload, we get the path that we got passed in, we set the avatar URL, and then we pass all the information back to this update profile function that I mentioned before, and then we just update the row in the database, and that is basically what the app does. Like I said, I wanted to go through this pretty quickly. You have the blog post here you can check out. I've just kind of stepped through it a little bit there so you have some idea. And the last thing is the source code. So make sure you get all the way to the bottom of the blog post, because down here, the source code, let's get this over here. I posted all of the source code here in my GitHub repo. So you can download it, play with it, add more to it. Also, I have on my YouTube channel, I have a whole playlist of Ionic Vue Supabase related videos. Ionic is really used for the UI, so these are pure Vue.js examples of how to use Supabase. We cover a lot of the same topics that are touched on in the sample, but it's a much more complex demo, doing login, log out, ability to create accounts, password management, change password, forgot password, and then we also do some storage bucket work here. But feel free to check these out also. This video will get added to this playlist here. And if you have suggestions on some other content you'd like to see, please make sure you leave a note, make a suggestion, and I'm happy to take a look into it. Once again, thanks for stopping by. Hope you found this video helpful, interesting, some value to you. Please share it with other folks, and take care. Bye now.